What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ilias, I'm a photographer located in Athens, Greece, and in this video we're going to take a look at my whole 2-year experience with the Nikon ZFC as my main camera. If you're following this channel you probably know about it, but for the past 2 years the Nikon ZFC has been my main primary camera for all my YouTube filming over here and obviously for all my photography. Call it street photography, call it portrait photography, product photography, travel photography, car photography, and even professional wedding photography and christening. I have basically done everything with this camera. I have used it in extreme weather like a snowstorm or even in the extreme heat waves that we get here in Greece. So I'm probably the most qualified person to speak about this camera. But before we continue on, I just want to let you know that at the end of the video I'm going to be giving away many items like a digital cam snap camera or a few camera straps over here from K&F Concept, some filters, some cleaning kits, and obviously my own personal presets. So if you want to participate in that giveaway and be one of the many winners that I will select, then just wait till the end of the video in order to find out how to even participate. Alright you guys, editing Ilias right here. I quickly want to interrupt this video and say that this video was supposed to go live about 7 days ago or something like that, but I was really sick for all of these days and I couldn't really make it to go live towards the new year. So yeah, I'm sorry about that, and I'm sorry about the Christmas tree on the background, but it is what it is. I think it's funny. Anyways, let's continue with the video. So this video over here is not going to be completely technical. I'm not going to speak a lot about every spec that this camera has to offer, but I will reference a few key specifications because some of them are really important and you all have to know what you're going to get if you decide to get this camera 2.5 years later after its release. Keep in mind that throughout this video you're going to see many photography samples which are all taken with this camera, so you can get an idea about all the photographs that you can expect to get and that you are able to get while using this body. And I will also play a photo montage of my best shots while using this camera somewhere in the middle of the video. Okay, let's start off this video by talking firstly about the most obvious thing that this camera has to offer. And I'm talking basically about the aesthetic of this camera, the outside of this camera. So obviously the Nikon ZFC is one of the most beautiful cameras that you can possibly own, at least in the mirrorless world. When it first got announced, I instantly fell in love and I knew that this would be my very next camera. But the first thing that you're going to notice when you pick this camera up for the first time is that it kind of feels plasticky. It kind of feels a little bit empty, and that's exactly how I personally felt, and that's exactly how many people also felt while picking up this camera for the first time. But let me tell you right here that this camera is really robust. The silver outlines are made out of some kind of metal, which is really nice, and at the same time this camera is so light, which makes it perfect for everyday use, for hiking, for basically everything, because especially paired with some smaller lenses like the 16-50 kit lens, this Nikon ZFC can easily transform to one of the best travel cameras that you can get. We obviously have the vintage dials on top in case we want to emulate that retro feeling, but we also have 2 modern dials in order to control our aperture or the shutter speed if we want to. You cannot really customize this camera because you only get 1, maybe 1.5 buttons in order to customize. Thank God the menu system is really easy to handle and you have everything with just a few touches in the screen. So personally I never struggled with switching all my settings up. This camera is basically an extension of my arm and I can really quickly switch everything in the way that I want to. But obviously there are better cameras in terms of customization out there at this price point, so yeah, just keep that in mind. This camera is also not so easy to carry around for many hours without a grip. So personally, if I'm going to use the Nikon ZFC for more than an hour, I always use a third-party grip like the small rig that I have on my camera in order to hold it better and more comfortable. And Nikon noticed that it's not so easy to hold this camera, so that's why on the new ZF, the full-frame version of the ZFC, they added a small grip inside the camera and also partnered up with small rig in order to create an even bigger grip. And one more negative that surrounds this camera, and I think that this is probably the biggest negative that this camera has, is the fact that we don't get weather sealing with the Nikon ZFC. And this is a huge disappointment because the small size of this camera and the small lenses of this camera and the quality of the photos and the videos that we can get out of this makes it for the perfect street photography camera or for the perfect travel camera or even for the perfect everyday camera. But sadly, if let's say it starts to rain, then you don't have many options. You either hide your camera or you try to shoot through a plastic bag like I said earlier. And one more negative that most people won't even care about is the fact that this camera doesn't come with two SD card slots. This obviously is only important for professional use. Let's say you're shooting a wedding and you want to have the safety of having two SD cards, because if one SD card goes down, you have one more SD card for backup. But personally, I'm starting to get more and more photography jobs, even weddings and christenings, and I keep shooting these jobs with only my Nikon ZFC, and I always have the stress that if my SD card goes bad, then I'm done for. So even though this camera can handle pretty much almost every professional situation, you're always at risk losing all your data because you have only one SD card slot. Alright, let's talk about the most important thing that we care about when we are trying to get a new camera. And basically we're talking about the image quality. And all I have to say about the sensor of this camera is that it's producing perfect images. We don't have many megapixels like, let's say, 33 megapixels or even 40 something megapixels that Fujifilm offers nowadays. We only have, I don't exactly remember, like 21, 22. I don't remember about the megapixels because I don't really care about the megapixels. This sensor is able to capture so much detail and so much dynamic range that you really don't need any more than that. And one of the most important things in terms of image quality are also the colors. And let me tell you that I love the colors that come out of this camera. This camera renders everything so beautifully that it's a breeze to edit all these files. And just a small plug over here, all the photos that you're seeing in this video are edited with my Lightroom presets, which are available right now for the first time ever. I'm running a discount right now where you can get them only for 9.99 euros. So if you like my editing style, then consider checking out my presets. I will have a link down below to my website. And also don't forget about the giveaway, because every winner will also get my preset pack. And one of the best ways to prove that the color rendition and the sharpness that comes out of this camera is top notch is this landscape photograph over here, which was taken with my Nikon ZFC and only the 16 to 50mm kit lens. And you can see the beautiful colors and all the detail that we are able to capture on the rocks and on the whole image frame. And to further prove my point, just look at this beautiful metallic print that I was able to do with this specific photograph. Also, if you want to check out the creation of that specific print, I will link it somewhere over here or down in the description. Also, since we're entering 2024, everyone wants to have a really great autofocus. And let me tell you over here that this camera exceeds all the expectations that you might have. The autofocus of this camera is more than enough for 99% of all the photographers. Unless you're doing wildlife photography of dolphins jumping in and out of the water, or if you're a sports shooter and you're photographing Cristiano Ronaldo or Usain Bolt, you will not encounter a single problem with the autofocus of the system. I rely on the autofocus for all my portrait photography, I rely on the autofocus for all my street photography, I rely on the autofocus for all my weddings and for all my christenings. And let me tell you over here that I shoot all my christenings and all my weddings with third-party glass, and the eye autofocus performs 99% of the situations perfectly, and I cannot think of one situation for the past 2 years where I needed the autofocus and it basically failed me. The autofocus of this camera is even better from the autofocus that we get on the Nikon Z6 II. I cannot personally verify my last statement over here, but I've talked to many pro photographers who own the Nikon Z6 II and have also used the Nikon ZFC, and they can all agree on that the Nikon ZFC has a slightly better autofocus system than the Nikon Z6 II, which is really crazy to think. And also a really huge photographer and YouTuber here in this platform, Jared Paulin for Photo, also can confirm that the Nikon ZFC has a better autofocus system than the Nikon Z6 II. And there is one sequence that I have showed in a previous video where I basically understood that this autofocus system is top notch. And it's basically this sequence over here where this baby over here is trying to blow out a candle in a christening that I had, and as you can see, all the photos are sharp right in the eye while using a third-party lens, the Viltrox 23mm 1.4 at 1.4. So yeah, if this doesn't convince you that this camera has a really good autofocus system, then nothing will convince you. Obviously, most of the Sony cameras like the FX30 or the A6 7000 or something like that have a better autofocus system from the ZFC, but you really don't need anything better than this one. And just to do a live test over here, right now I'm at f1.4, and as you can see, the lens is tracking me perfectly even in video mode. And even if I go in and out, it finds my eye right on spot, and always just like that. But I think that pictures speak louder than words. So take something to eat, take something to drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy my best work with the Nikon ZFC till this day.
Got the white knuckles holding on it tight, keeping your feels bottled up inside, heading for collision in the night. To really live, you gotta die.
Let's also talk a little bit about the video quality that this camera has to offer. And to be honest, the Nikon ZFC has a little bit outdated video specs over here. They were outdated even when it got released. So yeah, we're pretty far behind in terms of video, but the video quality is really nice, to be honest. Right now, I'm at f1.4 and I'm really happy with the 4K picture that I can get out of my camera. Keep in mind that I also have a softening filter on top of my lens right now in order to make everything more dreamy, and I'm doing that because sometimes I feel like the image is too sharp for my liking, which is obviously not a bad thing. It's always nice to have a really sharp image, or just soften it up a little bit with a diffuser filter on top of the lens. Sadly, in this camera we're getting only 4K up to 30 frames per second. Most cameras out there, and especially the competition of this Nikon ZFC, does 4K 60, and also most of the competition supports log recording in video mode, which the Nikon ZFC does not. So if you like to heavily manipulate your image, then this camera is not for you. The most that you can do in this camera is to shoot on a really nice flat profile and try to correct that one, but the dynamic range is really not there. But the good thing is that this camera has really nice video straight out of this camera. Right now I'm shooting on the standard mode, and from what I can see from the screen right here is that the colors are really nice. My skin tones are also really nice, and keep in mind that this is a really difficult situation for this camera to read because I have made different lights on my left, on my right, and obviously back here on the tree. So yeah, I think that the image that I'm getting right now is really nice, especially for no post-work or professional lighting. And let me also show you a few clips that I got in a wedding that I did. In this wedding I was doing photography and videography at the same time with only the Nikon ZFC, and just look at the beautiful colors, especially the beautiful skin tones that I was able to capture in these moments. Also, since we're talking about video, I love the flip out screen that we get in this Nikon ZFC. Right now I can look at it and judge if I'm in focus, or if the exposure is correct, or if my microphone is running, or if my battery is going down, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're a beginner, or you're someone that will never basically color grade their footage because they don't care about creating cinematic masterpieces, then this camera can fulfill all your needs. I think this camera is perfect for most YouTubers out there, as long as they are not professional videographers, because of that great autofocus, the really beautiful 4K image quality, and the really nice flip-out screen. You can even easily vlog with this camera. Even though it doesn't have IBIS, inbuilt image stabilization, most Nikon lenses, like the 16 to 50mm kit lens, all these lenses have their own inbuilt stabilization, and the electronic stabilization is really good, at least for vlogging. I've made a few cinematic videos with this camera, so if you want to check them out, I will link them somewhere over here or down in the description in case you want to see what videos this camera is capable of capturing. And one really important thing that someone has to consider before getting into a camera system is obviously the lens lineup. In terms of third-party support, the Sony E system is by far the better ecosystem out there. And right behind the Sony ecosystem, we get the Fuji X mount, which has seen a lot of support of third-party companies out there. So these two systems are by far the better options in terms of glass. But don't get fooled about all these different choices that Fujifilm and Sony has over Nikon, because I can easily say that all the kit lenses that come with the Nikon ZFC and the Nikon Z crop system in general are the best kit lenses out in the market. The 16 to 50 kit lens is so sharp, the telephoto 50 to 250 is also really sharp, and Nikon also has super zooms which perform really well for someone that is looking for one lens in order to rule them all. Nikon also released the 24mm f1.7 DX lens, which is going to be a bestseller, and I've made a review about it, which you can check somewhere over here again or down in the description. But also at this time and point, there are so many third-party options for our Nikon cameras, and if you're looking for a lens buying guide for this camera specifically, or for the Nikon Z50 or for the Nikon Z30, I've made one a few months back, so if you're on the lookout of a complete breakdown of most of the lenses that are out there available for the Nikon Z crop system, you can also check that video out in the description down below. So at the end of the day, can I recommend this camera? And the answer is really tricky, to be honest, because, hear me out, if you want that retro style of shooting, then Fujifilm has all these different cameras out there that can basically do the same thing that the Nikon ZFC can do, but even better, because on the Fuji lineup you get all these beautiful film simulations which are really customizable, and the whole Fuji community gathers in order to create the best recipes possible. Yes, you can also use some film simulations on your Nikon ZFC, but let's just say that they're nowhere near as good as the Fuji recipes. And also most Fujifilm cameras at the same price point like the Nikon ZFC can also support log recording in video mode, and also use some legendary film simulations in their video in order to get an even better and cinematic feeling. So at least in my opinion, some Fuji bodies are by far the better option if you're considering the Nikon ZFC for the retro style of shooting. The Fuji system has also weather sealing in most of their lenses, which makes it even better for these kind of situations and use cases. And I think that the only thing that saves the Nikon ZFC is the better autofocus system. So if you want a retro style body with the best autofocus in the business, at least in this price point, I think that the Nikon ZFC is the best choice for you. But if you don't care as much about the autofocus system, I think that Fujifilm is the better ecosystem for you. Right now you can get a Fuji X-T3 at the same price point like the Nikon ZFC, but if you're heavily invested in Nikon glass, let's say you own a Nikon Z50 and you want to get another Nikon Z crop system camera, or you own a full frame Nikon camera and you also want to have a smaller camera for your everyday shooting, then obviously don't go out there and buy a Fujifilm camera just because they have some film recipes. You can always emulate these film simulations in post later on in Lightroom. You might be asking yourself, so Elias, if you're thinking that the Fujifilm X system is better, why didn't you get a Fujifilm camera to begin with? And the best explanation that I can give you is basically that I fell in love with the Nikon ZFC when it got released. My first ever DSLR was a Nikon D3400, and it's the DSLR that I upgraded from to the Nikon ZFC, so the Nikon brand has a really huge part in my heart, and I can for sure say that these feelings played a huge part in me falling in love with this body. So do I regret anything? No, obviously not. I can easily recreate all these film simulations in Lightroom. I have the better autofocus system, and I'm more than happy with the images that I could create, especially with the smaller kit lenses like the 16 to 50mm, which has created some of my best work and some of my best memories when I'm traveling or when I'm out there doing street photography sessions. Obviously this camera is not perfect for every photographer, but I think it's more than enough for 99% of the photographers, especially the ones that don't care about pursuing a professional career like weddings or christening and all that kind of stuff. If you are a hobbyist, an enthusiast, or even a beginner, look no further, because I'm pretty sure that if you choose the Nikon ZFC for your first camera or for your next camera, you won't be disappointed. The next thing that I'm going to say might sound really controversial, but I'm not sure that the Nikon ZFC will continue being my main camera in this channel and in my career. I'm trying to become a full-time wedding photographer, and like I said in the beginning of this video, if I eventually decide to go down that road, I will pick up a camera with 2 SD card slots, because I don't want to put my career in jeopardy. The photographs and the video and the autofocus have nothing to do with that decision, but if I eventually go down that road of being a professional wedding photographer, I really need a camera with 2 SD card slots. If the Nikon ZFC had dual card SD slots, I wouldn't consider upgrading any time soon. Alright you guys, now you have all the information that I could gather as a Nikon ZFC user for the past 2 years. I would really love to know about your own thoughts about this camera, so if you have the time, then let me know down below, and if you have any more questions regarding this camera, then also comment them down below. I always check all the comments and answer to all the comments. If you're new here and you like street photography, portrait photography, travel photography, professional photography, and maybe a little bit of gear talk, then consider subscribing. We're doing all of that in this channel over here, and I couldn't be more grateful about this opportunity that you guys are giving me. Thank you to each and every single one of you that choose to spend a little bit of your valuable time by watching my content. This really means the world to me, and since 2023 is coming to an end, I just want to wish to every single one of you Merry Christmas, have a beautiful and healthy new year. I hope that you achieve all your dreams, all your passions, all your goals, and like the great Peter McKinnon says, it's been a huge honor doing videos for you guys and creating this really big community of almost 5,000 people. I'm grateful for all the conversations that I have with you guys down in the comments or in my DMs on Instagram. So yeah, just want to say once again a huge thank you to each and every single one of you. Alright, so let's close out this video and this year with my biggest giveaway to date. Obviously you guys, I cannot really give away lenses and huge cameras and all that kind of expensive gear. I'm really sorry about that, but YouTube doesn't really pay all that much. But thankfully there are some companies that really care about small creators and their community and make these kind of giveaways possible. So the number 1 prize is basically this CamSnap over here digital camera. Keep in mind that I paid for this specific item with my own money, so CamSnap didn't really help with this giveaway over here, but they make beautiful little digital cameras. They also don't have a screen on the back. Right now you can see on the screen a few shots that I got with my own CamSnap. This one is brand new, I have never used it before, so one of you lucky winners will get this brand new CamSnap digital camera. Review is coming soon. The next 2 winners will receive these 2 camera straps over here from K&F Concept. This one is a regular strap and this one is a wrist strap. I can really vouch for these products, especially for the wrist strap, but they're both made out of the same material. Let me just tell you that these things are really robust, they're really high quality, and I'm really happy that K&F Concept decided to help me out with this giveaway over here. Like I said, this wrist strap is on my camera every single day and it never goes off of it. The next winner will receive a UV filter over here. It's a 82mm UV filter from K&F Concept. It's from their Nano X series, so these filters are really high quality. The Nano X series of the K&F Concept filters is just amazing, to be honest. Like, I have so many Nano X series filters. Yeah, I cannot complain. Like, these things are great quality. And the last and final physical item that a winner will get is basically this cleaning kit over here. So this cleaning kit contains of a cleaning pen, an air blower, a few microfiber cloths, and a few cleaning swabs for the sensor. So I hope this goes to someone with a dirty sensor or something like that. And the very last winner will receive my brand new preset pack. Keep in mind that all the other winners will also receive my preset packs and also the physical gifts that I just showed you guys. At this point, I just want to say a huge thank you to the K&F Concept company, and especially a really talented photographer named Dreamy, which works for K&F Concept on the marketing team. I think this person has showed such a huge trust towards my work, even in the earlier days when I only had less than 1,000 subscribers. So it's really crazy that a company of that size decides to help out smaller creators and create this personal developed bonds with them. And yeah, I'm forever grateful, especially to Dreamy, for giving me this opportunity to create all this stuff with their products. Huge disclaimer, I'm not being paid to say that. This comes from the bottom of my heart. Dreamy has no idea about this part and what I'm going to say. And now that we got all of that out of the way, how you can enter to this giveaway. So the same day that this video goes live, I will also make an Instagram post on my profile. So you basically have to go on my profile and follow the instructions underneath the post. And this is officially where I'm going to end this video. This is the last time that I will make a review on the Nikon ZFC, because I think that after 2 years I finally laid everything down for you guys in order to decide if this camera is something that you want to invest in or not. Obviously, I will keep creating videos with this camera and doing many photo shoots and many gear reviews and all that good stuff. See you all next time. Take care. Peace. Have a beautiful 2024 and I'll see you all next year. Oh, and one last thing before I close out. Make sure during these holidays to spend a little bit time with your loved ones. Don't forget to say that you love them. Don't forget to show them your love. And yeah, just a reminder. See you guys. Bye.